consider recapitalizing just so that they are better positioned, financially more buoyant to lend for, real estate, demand, people that really want real estate, to get houses. So I think that's one way that, we can look at it.
Okay. Well, still on the supply issue, there's the issue of interest rates, cost of getting these loans, the length of time to finance them. You think all that will be addressed if there's this follow through from what you're saying? So,
honestly speaking, in the short term, we are going to have, such challenges. Yeah. Interest rates is currently high, and my sense is that for mortgage loans, you'll probably find it, being lower than the normal consumer loans because they are long-term in nature. Yeah. Talking about, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in some cases, depending on your age.
Right.
You that you want to borrow. So I think, over time, we'll see the benefit of, low interest rates over a long period of time. Yeah. That is on the one side. On the other side, my sense is that those that want to access those funds, will be able to access at a much lower age. Okay. Compared to you waiting till retirement age before your children will now, think of building a house for you. Daddy, you have retired, let us get you a house to live in. Yeah. That solves the problem early enough. Yeah. In terms of the cash flows, you will naturally spend money on some other things. Why not spend money to get a home for yourself at relatively young age before you retire? So I think those are some of the good things in this sort of scheme.
All right, fantastic. You also, Chapel Hill, you've put out a report on the pension industry. You had some a list of critical factors for the growth of the industry, and I think one of them was, in fact, we can take a look at them. One of them was growth in population, and I think growth in population, and then I think aging population. Let's see, rapidly growing population, greater allocation of pension assets to equities, real estate, age compounding, that's what I was looking for, regulation and enforcement of the Pension Reform Act. So can we take, as far as taking us through each of these, so why are these critical as far as the growing population?
Well, I think if you take a long-term view at the pension industry, you will realize that Nigeria has a long way to go in terms of growing, and that is why at Chapel Hill Deham, our sense is that if we think of our population, well over 200 million people, and we also consider the young population, we have a median age of around 18 years. That speaks to a huge opportunity in terms of how many Nigerians can go into the pension scheme. Get a job, and then begin to contribute into that pool of money. Okay. The young age of the population is going to play a critical role in terms of how the AUM grows over the long term. The third element is around the fact that we should have a greater allocation of pension fund to equities. Okay. My sense is that when you allocate to equities, you are looking to play in the long term. Taking a look at the age of those contributing to the scheme as we speak, about 9.7 million people in the scheme, 73% of them are under 40 years. Right. So why are we not committing these funds more to equities for long-term play and long-term return? That is how we can scale up in terms of the assets under management size. My sense is regulation also is going to play a major role in growing the industry. We have seen one key element around the insurance space where regulation that you can retire by annuity is currently driving the growth of the insurance space. Talking about life insurance businesses right now. Previously, the income they get in terms of premium from that space was zero. As we speak, it is around maybe 300 billion naira or more. So those are some of the reasons we believe regulation is going to support. The current regulation around mortgage by contributors speaks to expected growth in real estate businesses and also in mortgage banks in Nigeria. So those are the ways that regulation is supporting the growth of the overall industry and positively impacting the Nigerian economy. I think it is also crucial in that regard.
All right. There's a quote from your report on mergers and acquisitions where you say that, we also believe that M&A activity, as mergers and acquisitions activity, is one of the key factors that will change the competitive landscape of Nigeria's pension industry with the entrance of Tier 1 banks. You mentioned Access and Access Holding and GTCO. So why is that? Why do you think M&A is the pathway to getting in there?
To start with, the regulator, PENCOM, is not issuing new licenses.
Okay.
So which means for you to play in that industry, M&A looks more like, the only way to get into that space. That is one. The second thing, to my mind is that we are seeing strong growth outlook. The industry AUM has grown by 22% in the past sort of 15 years. That is substantial if you look at it.
Yeah.
And the big banks, in my view, are looking at that growth and the future growth opportunities and are tapping into that, to play and grow their own earnings on a holdco structure basis. If you look at Access, it's at a holdco structure. GTC also has a growth, a holdco structure. And what they want to do is to play in that space and scale up in terms of the size of assets under management for them. Previously, before the capitalization by PENCOM, we had 22 PFAs. Yeah. That came down to 20% because of M&As and because GTC played in that space and also Access played in that space. Yeah. So we'll not be surprised if over time we see the number of PFAs reduces further from the current 20 because of M&A. Around 10 in the long term.
Is that good for the market?
It should result in a lot more solid players in the market and a lot more efficient players if the number reduces. And it will also help the regulators in terms of how many players do you have to supervise and regulate. So I think all those are what the likes of Access are looking at. For instance, they currently are number 12. Yeah. In terms of the ranking in the industry by asset under management. They want to scale up to number 10 by next year. Over the next 3 to 5 years, they want to be the third largest by AUM. How do you achieve that? You have to either acquire more or you grow your asset under management more aggressively by investing in the relevant securities that will drive that growth that you're looking for.
Gotcha. There's a chart in the report that shows, and this is very interesting, withdrawals. I think you looked at 2009 through 2021. You said withdrawals from RSAs. Yeah, there it is. So withdrawals from RSAs have outpaced contributions. And I think for folks that are looking at this now, if they look at the legend at the bottom, so you've got your new money contributions in the gold bars, and then total withdrawals in the thick black bars, and then you've got withdrawal growth in that thin line above the bars there. So is that not alarming? And what's the interpretation of that?
So it is alarming because it speaks to, number one, low compliance.
Right.
And that is where we believe regulation is also going to do a lot to ensure that, people, or let me say organizations and government, state government in particular, comply with the provisions of the Pension Reform Act 2014. So we need more into that space. The working population in this country is around 68 million. Right. According to World Bank data. 9.7 million out of those are the only ones.
That's a low number.
I'm telling you. Yeah. So in the pension scheme. So we need more, to go into the scheme to ensure that we have this chart that we're showing, leaps or rises in terms of contribution or what we call new money. The second thing is that we are seeing withdrawals. Because number one, some people lost jobs. Right. So it is natural for them to access the fund and withdraw from it. Yeah. We have relocation. What we naturally these days in Nigeria call Japa. So people are leaving the country.
We did a report on that.
Exactly. Yes. So people are leaving the country. So they are making withdrawals. That's also affecting the fund. We have retirement. Some people are retiring, so they have to take out of the fourth element, which I think is not just about withdrawals alone, but it's also about the growth of another sector. It is retirement by annuity. We're having outflows in that regard too, and the money is going into annuity products in the life insurance space. I think that is positive because it grows other sectors as well. So those are the reasons we are seeing the rise in withdrawals, faster than what we are seeing on the contributions.
Finally, Nigeria's pension penetration rate. You also have a chart on that. It's pretty low compared to the global. What was it? 7.6%. I mean, versus the G7, 72%. Europe, UAE. European Union 22, Asia 19. So how do we grow that over time?
So we can, the first thing I think is to ensure that out of the 65, 68 million working population, we should have more of them joining, the pension scheme. Scaling it up from around 9.7 million to like, 15 million to like 20 million, possibly 40 million over the next 10 to 20 years. If that materializes, we are going to see, increase in contribution, which are called new money. The second thing is around investing those funds. If you invest them in high quality securities, such as, the stock markets, you would find on a compounding basis, a more compelling growth rate, for us. And that will lift our penetration, which is the AUM relative to the GDP. So the first penetration to take care of is the one that is the RSA holders divided by the working population. That is low at currently around 14% or thereabouts. If you can scale up to like 50%, then we'll be talking about 40% penetration, just like we have in Europe.
Fantastic stuff. Great report. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about that. Tajudeen Ibrahim, Director of Research and Strategy at Chapel Hill Deham. I really appreciate your time. Stay tuned.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
As a player, there's nothing better than the roar of your crowd. But in Nigeria, there's a roar that may not be heard again. With fewer than 50 lions left, they could be extinct in the next few years, from loss of habitat and prey, and snares set for illegal bushmeat. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Let's keep the roar alive for Nigeria, because poaching steals from us all.
If you want a big tree, let me tell you that we are the small axe, sharp and ready to cut you down.
We mustn't be victims, but protagonists of our stories.
As individuals, we have an impossible battle. As a collective, we stand a chance.
Sometimes I think the earth needs to be scorched, so something good will come of it.
Uprising, this an uprising. There ain't no work and we have no shilling. We can't take no more of this suffering.
The school system has a policy of targeting our children. There is a deeply rooted cultural bias. As a collective, we stand a chance.
If you want a big tree, we are the small axe.
We're adding new titles every day to our awesome collection of blockbuster movies. Download the app and subscribe. This isn't just a streaming channel. This is a bold new world of entertainment. Arise Play. Beyond streaming.
Welcome Welcome back to Global Business Report here on Rise News. The controversy surrounding the 4.8 billion naira pipeline surveillance contract in the Niger Delta has ended with a commitment to support the project and the fight against crude oil theft in the region. This was after a 3-hour meeting of the Ijaw Nation stakeholders presided over by Governor Duyo Diri in Yenagoa in Bayelsa State. Our Rise correspondent Ovieteme George reports.
Quarter of 2022, Nigeria lost about $1 billion in revenue due to crude oil theft. With the Nigerian economy in dire straits, the federal government has awarded a pipeline surveillance contract to former Niger Delta militant leader, Government Ekpempolo, also known as Tompolo. This is seen as a desperate attempt by the federal government to end crude oil theft in the region. This has also led to a protest by a group called the Creek Men.
Everybody will have that sense of belonging. That is why this contract to protect pipelines, we have pipelines all over the places. Little part of Edo, Ondo, Delta, Bayelsa and rivers. So by the time you spread it across and give whatever is due to even the women, even the old men, then you have peace.
Why will you take the whole of Delta State and come to River State? Take in Bayelsa and come to River State. He's the only person who loves money. Only him now love money to chop. And then people are saying, Hazard is this, Hazard is this. We are all a job. So we are all a job. One man should take in his place and come and take in my place.
I think as brothers, this can be resolved. Sometimes you can even take the initiative and call him. Tompolo,
I am older than him. Much older. Wait. I am much older than him. He should do the calling.
If your children
perceiving disharmony among stakeholders in the Niger Delta, the Bayelsa State Governor Duyo Diri convenes a meeting with the Ijaw Nation stakeholders in Government House, Yenagoa, where a communique is read reflecting the agreement of all in attendance.
The resolutions of the All Ijaw Summit of December 4, 2021 remains the compass for the continuous interrogation of the Ijaw question in the Nigerian state and the roadmap for our quest for resource control, self-actualization and environmental justice, anchored on the instrumentality of the rule of law and other international instruments. That we maintain our position on the restructuring of Nigeria to free it from the shackles of a faulty and fraudulent contrived foundation that perpetuates injustice, disunity, hegemonic tendencies and propensities. That the Ijaw Nation condemns the degradation of our environment by oil spills and gas leaks from the facilities of multinational oil firms, pipeline vandalism, oil thefts and illegal crude oil refining activities with their consequences on our people and their livelihoods.
The Ijaw Nation will never rise up in arms against one another. The Ijaw Nation will be united. The Ijaw Nation will put to shame those who want to disunite the Ijaw Nation. Tompolo and Asare are two brothers, and all others, they have come to an agreement today. They have come to a consensus that they will protect the Ijaw Nation. They will protect all federal presence in the Ijaw Nation, particularly in this pipeline contract that traverses the Ijaw Nation. And not only the Ijaw Nation, all other ethnic nationalities within the Niger Delta. And that means that we are all suing into peace in the Niger Delta. And peace in the Niger Delta is the only way that can attract development in the Niger Delta, both from within and from without. And therefore, we'd like to use this opportunity to assure our Ijaw brothers that we are not at war. that we are at peace. We'd like to assure Nigeria that we are not at war, and the Ijaws, and indeed other ethnic nationalities in the Niger Delta, are prepared to protect what is in their own region.
He has given his assurance that he is fully in support of Tompolo, that federal government awarded this job to him, his brother, that he will give him all his maximum support to actualize the success of this project. We've all agreed that there will be no problem, that we are one and we'll have to work together for the progress of the Ijaw nation.
It's necessary, people disagree, but in the course of their disagreements, they'll be able to resolve. And taking further cognizance of what has happened so far, we're all looking forward to see that this peace and maintenance is sustained.
We've discussed, we quarrel, we disagree to agree, and that's all. We are one. One Ijaw, one Niger Delta, one way in, one way out. No two ways about it.
Ofieteme George, Arise News.
As part of its drive for increased foreign direct investment into the Nigerian oil and gas industry, the federal government has finally set up the Oil and Gas Investment Promotion Center at the Ministry of Petroleum Resources in Abuja, delivering his goodwill message at the 60th anniversary dinner of the Oil Producers Trade Section OPTS, a group under the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, who was represented by the Acting Permanent Secretary of his ministry, Mr. Kamoru Busari, said setting up the Investment Promotion Center was part of the government's effort to create an enabling environment and attract more investors into the oil and gas sector. The NNPCL, Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, has reported that in August of this year, petrol subsidies gulped about 94% of its revenue for August, according to the latest data that was being released. This was it was a signpost, actually, a grim outlook for the economy. It came the same weekend that the Police High Command disclosed that the Police Special Task Force on Petroleum and Illegal Bunkering has seized about 123 oil tankers deployed for the purpose of crude oil theft. So the information on this revenue was from the monthly presentation to the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, meeting at the weekend, showed that NNPC generated about 553 billion naira in revenue from oil and gas operations in August of 2022. However, the subsidy payment, or what the firm terms under recovery, which was deducted for the month, was 525 billion, according to data that was reviewed by this day. So 553 billion naira in revenue in August, and out of that, 525 billion going to the oil fuel subsidies payments for that particular month. And then finally, the US dollar continuing to pound global currencies across the world. We've already talked about the pound falling to a low not seen since the 1980s. Also, the euro, the yen at a 25-year low. Lots of concerns for emerging market currencies as the Federal Reserve in the United States continues to hike interest rates, which is attracting capital flows to the United States. All right, that's going to do it for the Global Business Report. Do stay tuned to Arise News. From all of us, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your company. I'm Rotu Sodiri. Don't go anywhere. Up next, it's Newsday, so stay tuned.
Every day, life presents hopes, dreams, and challenges. Challenges that can become successes with a little help. Because a little help can empower you to go from despair to celebration. A little help can keep you going until the race is won. A little help can turn bundles of anxiety into a bundle of joy. And with Glow Data, you get much more than just a little help. You get the biggest data deals in town to make every day glow with small wins and big wins. Dial *777# to select your Glow Data plan.
We started our journey over 7 years ago, connecting travelers to their favorite destinations. Since then, we've revolutionized how we want our passengers to feel while flying. That is why we've introduced our brand new Embraer 195-E2 aircraft.
Everyone has a face they need to see.
We are on a mission to add new destinations to our ever-increasing fleet. Our Boeing 777 will take you on an international journey. Mumbai, Guangzhou, London, Johannesburg. And now, Airpeace is adding a new destination